How did practice go today, and is everybody back from their breaks?
It's a typical first day back from All-Star break practice. Ragged and a lot of turnovers, but I told the guys for as long as I've been in the league, that's exactly what I've witnessed on post All-Star practices. Everyone is a little rusty, and so the whole point of practice is to get that stuff out of your system, get your rhythm back, and we'll be ready to go tomorrow.
Do you get the sense that the guys are refreshed, recharged from the
Yeah.
past week or so?
Everybody's feeling good. Great vibe in the building. Everyone is recharged and feeling good and ready for this stretch run.
What was JK able to do today?
Nothing live. So we did some live stuff today, but he didn't take part in that. So he did the drill work.
Steve, you indicated after the last game that you're probably going to stick with that lineup.
Yeah.
Still plan to do that?
Yeah.
And I know in the past you've always said you have to watch Draymond's minutes at the 5. How do you sort of navigate that?
It's a little easier to do now that there's only 27 games left in the season. Starting him at the 5 doesn't feel as daunting as it would have in October, which was, why we were adamant about, starting big. And but we're now at the point of the season where it's doable. And, our team has changed, obviously, with Jimmy. And it feels like the right thing to do to start Draymond at the 5. He'll still play some at the 4. We'll figure it out.
Can you imagine how often you'll play a lineup with Draymond, Jimmy, and Jonathan at the same time? Or
we're definitely going to roll it out there. I mean, you got to put your best players on the floor, and so once JK is back, that lineup will be featured at times, and we've got to sort through it and see what makes the most sense in terms of the actions that we're running, what we're doing defensively, all that stuff.
can that lineup, you think, do things to offset the spacing concerns?
Hopefully. We don't know, but we won't know until we try it out.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
We know Steph is more of a lead by example type of guy, and then we know the type of leader that Draymond is. In this short sample size, how have you seen Jimmy kind of lead the team so far?
Jimmy has a very calming presence on the team. He never gets sped up. He rarely turns the ball over. And he's very confident. So, you feel good about having him on your side, not only execution-wise, but, he's an alpha. He's a guy who has proven his entire career that he can close games and be part of groups that close games. So it's exciting to have him. I think he increases our level of confidence for sure.
And then we know you're such a day-by-day type of, organization, but just what's the messaging going into the second half of the season?
Well, it's the final third of the season, I guess. So it's the messaging is really we've got an amazing opportunity here. 27 games to go. We just made this trade. We have a shot to really build some momentum and some confidence here. And if we do that, that's going to put us in a position where we can make the playoffs. And that's all this group needs is just a shot. So that's what we're looking for is, to put ourselves in that position.
Okay.
Ooh, that was close. Not exactly right, but I like to round off. When you're a U of A grad, it's easier not to worry about decimal points. So.
Hi, Coach. The competition in the Western Conference is very intense right now. How do you think about this situation in the West?
Well, it's very deep. I think it feels like every night you play against, a good team, and there's so many teams in contention for different spots. A lot of teams, fighting for really, probably 6-7 different spots. So it's going to be a wild ride down the stretch for sure. And we just have to be the best version of ourselves and put ourselves in a good spot. And then, like I said, no matter who we play, night in and night out, they're going to be good. And that's going to be the same thing, when you get to the playoffs. Matchups don't even matter. It's just you got to play at a high level.
Iguodala's jersey is getting retired on Sunday. You're going to be getting asked a lot about him in the next few days. But I wanted to ask you about the Hall of Fame. What do you think about the way the Hall of Fame selects players? What do you think of the bar that they've set, and what do you think it should be?
Yeah, I mean, the Hall of Fame stuff is always very subjective. There's no guidelines for how to vote, or who to vote for, why you're voting for someone, that sort of thing. So I once actually had a vote when I was in the media, and I was. I think there were about 2 years in a row where I was able to vote for Hall of Fame stuff. I based it on body of work on both college and NBA impact and FIBA. So it's not an NBA Hall of Fame, it's a Basketball Hall of Fame. So there's a lot of things that can factor in. As far as Andre is concerned, he's the classic case of numbers don't always tell the story. He was a pretty big scorer early in his career, but the points never defined his game. What defined his game was how good he was at everything. Just reading the game, rotations defensively, getting the ball to Steph and Clay at the right time, situationally, being a lockdown defender, being a winner, 4-time champion. So Andre is not your classic, Hall of Fame candidate, but when you look at impact on winning, then he becomes a Hall of Fame candidate.
Hello, Coach. So during the All-Star game, when Stephen threw the 3 points during the last couple minutes, the vibes totally changed. How do you think? Why we never tired to see Stephen through the 3 points? Why we never tired to look at that?
I'm sorry. What was the last part? What?
Sorry.
Yeah,
so you think why we never tired to see?
Oh,
Stephen?
why are we never tired of seeing Steph? Yeah, I mean we're watching the greatest shooter of all time, but we're also watching an artist. He's a performer. He's got a flair that is beautiful to watch, and that's why, whether it's the Olympics or the All-Star game or an NBA game, or going back to Davidson when he was in college, he's a mesmerizing player, and he's the reason a lot of people love sports. There's a beauty to it, and I suspect it will never get old watching Steph make it 3.
What have you made of your perimeter defense, particularly since acquiring Jimmy? And then how can Jonathan have an impact in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, point of attack defense has been an issue for us for sure. Allowing too many drivers to get into the paint, and that leads to rotations and open threes. And so that's been an issue for us this year for sure. We have to do a better job with that. We've got to keep people in front of us as best we can. That's the best way to avoid, some of those catch and shoot threes that are hurting us. So Jimmy's a great defender. He can guard 1 through 5. He allows us to switch a little bit more if we want to do that. And he's also really, really smart. He reminds me of Draymond a little bit on the backside of the defense. So he's going to sort through rotations really quickly.
In this league, there's always a group of guys who, when they change teams, because of who they are, their presence, they walk into a locker room and the temperature changes. When Jimmy walks into your locker room, I'm sensing that happened here too. And what does that do for a team when they have a guy who comes in who brings that kind of presence, especially at a time when a team is trying to get to a certain level and they're struggling?
Well, hopefully what it does is it shifts the confidence, and I think that was the reason for the trade. We were just kind of seemingly kind of stuck in the mud, where we were. And nobody's fault. I think sometimes, a team runs its course, and I think at the time of the trade, I think Mike sensed the fact that we just were treading water. We weren't getting anywhere, and so sometimes you make a move for that reason alone, just to shake things up and try to create confidence and momentum. And that's the idea behind trading for a guy like Jimmy. He has that type of presence and swagger, and he's taken 2 Miami teams to the finals as huge underdogs. Came out of the play-in to take a team to the finals. We may find ourselves in the same spot. It's going to be hard to get to 6th. We're going to try like hell to do it, but who knows? We may end up in the play-in. Well, he's the kind of guy you want. In a game 7 or a play-in game, like you need alphas like him, great players like him, and so that's the idea.